Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brian Rosenblum, Director of the Institute for Globally Engaged Librarianship, or IGEL, at the University of Kansas Libraries. Thank you all for being here for the inaugural event of our new series, Global Conversations in Librarianship, a series of public talks and dialogues held virtually throughout the year, highlighting international perspectives on libraries and information work. Speakers will share current projects, institutional innovations, or emerging themes that shape the global library community. The Institute for Globally Engaged Librarianship was founded in 2025 with the mission of partnering with libraries and information organizations worldwide to advance knowledge, professional growth, and collaborative research. In our first year, we've moved from concept to practice, launching a visiting scholar program, exploratory library exchanges, this speaker series, and emerging partnerships with libraries across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Our focus is on building professional relationships and supporting global understanding among librarians and information workers everywhere. We begin our speaker series today with a topic of profound urgency, cultural genocide, and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, as this week marks 4 years since Russia's full-scale invasion. We'll hear more about the horrors that have transpired in these past 4 years from our speaker, Tetyana Yaroshenko. And please note that the talk does include visual documentation of destroyed cultural sites and may contain distressing content related to war crimes against civilian infrastructure. More than 200 people have registered for this event from across North America, Europe, and beyond. Clear sign of interest in and importance of this conversation, and an expression of continued solidarity with Ukraine. On behalf of all of us, I want to express my deep appreciation to Dr. Yaroshenko for making time to join us today from Kyiv under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. Thank you, Tetyana. Before we move to the main program, I just want to highlight a couple of upcoming events. And I had some slides, but I'm gonna leave them. We have two upcoming speaker events in this series. On May 20th, Lorraine Harricombe, former Vice Provost and Director of the University of Texas Libraries and former Dean of Libraries here at Kansas, will speak on Beyond Borders, Libraries in Motion in an Age of Digital Scholarship. She'll focus on collaborative digital projects with African institutions. And on June 11th, Isabel Galina, a researcher at the Institute for Bibliographic Studies at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, will join us from Mexico City to discuss digitizing the nation, libraries, archives, and the politics of digital memory. And we hope you'll be able to join us for those sessions. Finally, I want to highlight an upcoming international conference organized by KU Libraries, the Kenya National Library Service, and the Technical University of Kenya. Connecting Codes, AI, Digital Humanities, and the Future of Information will take place June 16th through 18th at the Kenya National Library in Nairobi. The conference brings together librarians, scholars, heritage professionals, technologists, and students to explore the intersections of artificial intelligence, digital humanities, and information institutions, with a particular emphasis on African contexts and perspectives. Proposals are open through March 15th with hybrid presentation options available. So we encourage all of you to consider submitting or attending either virtually or in person. Okay, with that, it's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for today's event, my colleague Vitaly Chernetsky. Dr. Chernetsky is a professor of Slavic and Eurasian studies here at the University of Kansas and the current president of the Shevchenko Scientific Society in the US. He is a past president of both the American Association for Ukrainian Studies and the Association for Slavic, East European, and Eurasian Studies. Among his publications is the award-winning book, Mapping Post-Communist Cultures, Russia and Ukraine in the Context of Globalization. His forthcoming book in Ukrainian, Intersections and Breakthroughs, focuses on Ukrainian literature and cinema in a global context. Vitaly, thanks for joining us today, and I'll send it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Шановні колеги, вітання, dear colleagues, greetings. It's my distinct honor to introduce our speaker today. Dr. Tetyana Yaroshenko is the Deputy Director for Research and International Affairs at the State Scientific and Technical Library of Ukraine in Kyiv. She has more than 30 years of experience in academic librarianship and research administration. She served as the director of the university library at one of Ukraine's most famous and elite research universities, the National University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, from 1995 to 2015. Then she served as a vice president of that university from 2015 to 2022. Since February of 2025, she has been the Deputy Director for Research and International Affairs at the State Scientific and Technical Library of Ukraine, her current position. Dr. Yaroshenko's research interests include open access and open science, scholarly communication and research data management, digital scholarship, and digital curation. She received her PhD in Library and Information Science in 2008 with a dissertation titled Electronic Journals in the System of Library Information Resources. She has published about 100 journal articles and books with an age index of 19. At the National University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, she teaches graduate courses on digital research and AI tools for research. Dr. Yaroshenko is twice an alumna of the Fulbright program. She was a Fulbright at Yale in 2004-2005 and at Columbia at 2010-2011. She also was an IREX intern at the Florida State University in 2017, and she served as an open scholarship librarian at Princeton from 2022 to 2024. Throughout her illustrious professional career, she's been actively engaged in numerous associations and initiatives, including the Electronic Library of Ukraine and the Ukrainian Fulbright Circle. She served as the president of the Ukrainian Fulbright Circle from 2013 to 2017, and she has continued serving as its board member. She served on multiple expert councils and working groups for Ukraine's Ministry of Education of Science and Ministry of Culture, as well as the Ukrainian Book Institute, among many others. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tetyana Yaroshenko. Pani Tetyana, please go ahead.
Good evening in Kyiv. Good afternoon in United States. I appreciate Dr. Chernetsky and Brian for deep introduction and warm introduction for me, and thank all of you for being here today. It's a great pleasure and a great honor for me to disseminate our experience, how we live, how the libraries live in the wartime, and I'm crossing my fingers for stable electricity and internet, because we have almost totally blackout and we have non-stable facilities, but I hope it will be good for our event. So this is not my first visit to Kansas State University. I had the honor of giving a guest lecture about open access and open science back in 2011. Thank you, Brian, for invitation, and to all colleagues to your continued interest in Ukraine. Today's topic is different, and said different because, a few days ago, we have 4 years have passed since Russia full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and 12 years since the occupation of Crimea and the part of Donetsk and Lugansk region. In 2022, they gave us 3 days. 4 years have passed. We are still standing. Ukraine stands because on its people, its soldiers, its workers, its volunteers and donors, and because of partners and friends all around the world. And I really thank you, everyone who stand by with Ukraine in this very difficult time. Today, I'd like to briefly discuss libraries as social institution of Ukrainian national memory under the condition of Russia war against Ukraine. And I'm also consider the damage to Ukrainian culture heritage in the context of international humanitarian law, particularly as it related to culture genocide. I mentioned Russia first attacked Ukraine 12 years ago in 2014 with Crimea and Donetsk, Lugansk region. 4 years ago, it launched a full-scale invasion, bringing a true brutal war to Europe for the first time this century. Every day, the Russian army kills Ukrainians simply for being Ukrainian. From this time, Russia launched more than 13 missiles against Ukraine, including cruise, ballistics, anti-aircraft missiles, and can you imagine, our 150,000 attack drones, Shahed and other. The primary targets remain energy infrastructure, civilian facilities, residential building, etc., etc. Every day and every night, including today. More than 12 million Ukrainians have fled the country or be internal in the country, creating Europe's largest refugees crisis in generation. You see in the picture the first day for full-scale invasion in Kyiv Central Railway Station. More than 15,000 civilian have been killed in Ukraine, including children. This is only official data only. The true number of civilian deaths is significantly higher, as verification in active combat zones is extremely difficult. In many areas, it's simply impossible to count all victims. Systematic destruction of civilian infrastructure. I just turned few slides. The Russian army has destroyed hospitals and kindergartens, schools, universities, libraries, museums, hundreds of buildings, and even anti-towns or cities. Just done sorry for some sensitive picture, but it's true real situation we live in. The Mariinka, the whole city was destroyed absolutely. Maybe you know the Kakhovka Dam. Few years ago, a major dam near nuclear power plant was blown up. While under Russian control, the destruction caused tens of thousands of people to be placed in a flood zone, severely flooding our 40 towns and villages across Ukraine. Future war crimes committed by Russian Federation include the deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia, systematic looting, torture, and the rape of women and children. Estimated of illegally deported Ukrainian children range from the nearly 20,000 for Ukrainian statistics, or about 700,000 children. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Vladimir Putin and Maria Lvova-Belova for the unlawful deportation of Ukrainian children, classified as a war crime. Who is responsible for this and destruction? Is it only Vladimir Putin? You can see on this slide a citation about the Russian President Vladimir Putin repeated claims that distance Ukrainian history, language, and culture do not exist, serve as a central justification for his war against Ukraine. He seeks not only to control Ukrainian territory, but to erase Ukrainian culture and identity, improving the Russian language and militaristic version of Russian history and worldview upon the Ukrainian people. The brutal war is a result of Russian Empire's centuries-old policy of de-Ukrainization, the destruction of Ukrainian history, achievement in science, culture, and art, the destruction of Ukrainian language, books, etc., etc., etc. But you see, the sociological survey show us that mostly Russians support this war. War in Ukraine is also and the battle for culture, because culture, past, present, and future is on the front lines of this brutal war. Cultural erasure is a central tactic of Russia's campaign of aggression in Ukraine. Is this not genocide? So the war in Ukraine is a battle for culture also. Let me remind you, the concept of genocide was first introduced by Polish-American lawyer Raphael Lemkin in his book you see on the slide. He defined it as any of 5 acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. All 5 of these indicators are current realities in Ukraine. Raphael Lemkin also developed the concept of culture genocide as a destruction of a group culture, religion, and identity. In the culture sphere, he identified key indicators, including prohibiting or destroying culture institutions and culture activities. As the destruction of Ukrainian culture heritage is an attack not only in Ukrainian people, it's an attack of the heritage of of all humanities. The contribution of any people to world culture, embodying its unique character, constitution of treasure belongs to all of us. Warning indicators of the culture genocide Russia is currently coming in Ukraine. Physical destruction of historical and culture monument, looting of culture valuables, interference in education, prohibition of the native Ukrainian language, history and culture, and the imposition of the oppressor national identity. Before the war, Ukraine had more than 500 museums, 65 historical and cultural reserves, nearly 170,000 monuments, including 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and over 30,000 libraries. Since then, you see 2,500 objects of cultural heritage were damaged, almost a third of them were destroyed, including culture infrastructure, including 800 libraries, including many museums, many monuments, many galleries, theaters, parks, etc., etc. Destruction, hundreds of libraries have been destroyed or severely damaged. Why libraries? Why libraries? Because the enemy consistently and persistently destroys Ukrainian ideas, culture, and books. Examples include national, public, academic, university libraries in many cities, in Chernihiv, Kharkiv, Kherson, Kyiv, and other cities. The particularly tragic case is the Oles Gonchar Kherson Regional Library, scientific library during the occupation. You see this library on the slide just now. Unfortunately, during the occupation, our 30,000 books were stolen and transported to Russia. This library also, Kherson Regional Library. Chernihiv Public Library, 500 libraries destroyed all collection, and the books. Another act of culture genocide is illegal possession and export of Ukrainian culture valuables to Russia. All rare books from Kherson library I mentioned were looted. For example, in occupied territories, libraries were inventories, and all books in Ukrainian history, even children's books of fairy tale and fiction, they're classified as extremist and removed or burned. You see, I like this picture about library from Kharkiv region saving book from transporting the home from the destroyed library. You remember, Russian borrowed the practice of book burning from Nazi Germany, or one might say from the page of Ray Bradbury roman Fahrenheit 451. In libraries across temporary occupied territory, Russian forces have taken books and destroyed them, dumping them into even saline solution. Ukrainian historical and literature works are being eliminated. Any content that contradict Kremlin propaganda. In Kupiansk district of Kharkiv Oblast, Russian occupation force ordered the destruction of all school library books published after 1991, including children books and fairy tales. In Irpin, Russian forces burned hundreds of copies of the Bible in the open air. In Mariupol, all books from the library of the university and or Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Saint Peter Mogila were burned, including unique Ukrainian language edition. But we still live, you see, and under bombardment, power outage, lack of heating, lack of water, and severe transportation disruption, Ukrainian libraries have redirected their activity just now. Today, the key priorities are preservation of collection, digitization of the most valuable materials, and ensuring access to information for everyone. Many Ukrainian libraries are now serving as refugees centers, even hostels and logistic hubs. Librarians bring books in the big city, in metro station, underground station. The people are sheltering during bombing. Libraries provide spaces to make document copies, receive advice of housing and humanitarian aid, access transportation schedules, and warm up, even eat or access therapeutic support. Many libraries in Kyiv and other big Ukrainian cities function just now as a safety places, offering power, internet, Wi-Fi, charging station, warm drinking water, and hot beverage during blackout. So you see on this slide key areas of library support during the war. Libraries organize psychological training sessions, stress relief workshop, creative activities for children and adults, helping communities adapt to wartime conditions. Humanitarian aid and volunteering. Many libraries have propose aid collection point, even weaving camouflage nets, supporting the military, assisting internal displaced person, and of course information and digital support, free internet access, help finding information and processing documents, digital literacy training, including for veterans, and safe space. Libraries function as mutual aid center offering safe space in summertimes. For few pictures for your for attention. Regional library in Kropivnitsky. It's a bomb shelter in the basement floor with power supply, drinking water, boiler, first aid kit, etc., etc. The small library, Central City Library for Children in Mykolaiv. This library open 24 hours per day. So all the day and all the time, they provide the shelter operation around since February 25, 2022. Bomb shelter is a library in another more in Mykolaiv. So some picture from the metro. It's a real picture. This during the raid attack, our people and librarians bring books here also. Library also as a logistic center for internal displaced person, and you see the facilities and some picture. Therapy events for victims, including children, Lviv, Chernivtsi, libraries as volunteer center. So I told you libraries wave camouflage nets, make trench candles, sew flags, underwear, beading. They collect humanitarian aid for people, fundraise for the armed force, and gather books for colleagues in deoccupied areas. They organize lecture, film screening, and educational events, promote Ukrainian culture and literature, and provide access to the internet and all information. Everything they did before the full-scale invasion, and more and more and more. We have approximately economic losses in the culture and creative sector in Ukraine, estimated about $23 million. And Ukrainian government, yes, we have some problem. We have some program, and the Ukrainian government has launched a culture, heritage, protection and recovery action program, recognize culture as a key state priority by the end of this year. Plan includes restoration at least 10 monuments, digitization of our 100,000 objects, including books, and we have a good project for National Electronic Library supported by UNESCO. Government established a heritage preservation fund and support of our 180 culture and creative initiatives. The Ministry of Culture and Strategic Communication of Ukraine coordinates comprehensive support for restoration, digitization, infrastructure recovery, and evacuation of valuable collection from frontline region. And of course, many thanks for international partner and international solidarity, which has grown unbelievable for culture heritage preservation during this war. On the most successful example of international partnership is I see the UNESCO, American Library Association, many another partners, and you see, of course, I'd like to mention the Sucho project, Saving Ukrainian Culture Heritage, from initiative from Virginia University in the United States, but many partners now in this project. American Library Association, and etc. One of the most successful example of international partnership is the mobile station for library fund protection, digitalization, and the Vernadsky National Library of Ukraine and Ukrainian Library Association to create mobile laboratories, for conservation of damaged documents, and another type of machine for digitization. This support very valuable for me. So in conclusion, you see our challenge and our plans. The main challenge, the physical destruction of collection, and build the evacuation of rare documents and archives, and ensuring staff librarians' safety. The key threats is discretion you see in occupied and frontline territories, brain drain, chronic underfunding. At the same time, libraries are still live and becoming not only information center, but also shelters, volunteer hubs, psychological support center, and digital service have grown sharply in importance, providing access to books, databases, and information for all Ukrainians. We also thank our partners from all around the world, many publishing houses, many providers, aggregators provide access for databases or platforms free of charge or waive the payment for Ukrainian scholars, and it's necessary for us. So we, of course, we think about the post-war reconstruction, and our key points here is large-scale digitization of collection, both as protection against losses and to broaden access. Reconstruction of destroyed building to modern standard, including accessibility and energy efficiency, is, you see, is very important for us just now. And we also to altogether rethinking the library all as a community space, as a place for activity, not only for reading, place for co-working, place for education, support the veterans, children, etc., etc. And the big issue is ideological dimension, decolonization of collection, because part of library collection in Russia and Tolstoyevsky and etc., etc., etc. So we need to look for our collection more, working through trauma via books and culture program, and preserving the documentary memory of the war. It's only the key issues. So as international cooperation is a key resource both for restoring collection and for our staff training. Once again, thank you, dear colleagues, for your attention and for standing with Ukraine just now. Please recognize that it's not only a conflict in Ukraine, it's not only a military conflict. Ukrainians are now protecting not just our homes and our families, but democratic principle and rights not only in Ukraine, not only Ukraine's freedom and independence, but the future of all Europe and the world. We are defending our common values and the future of the world. And I finished, and again, I remind you, in 2022, they gave us 3 days. 4 years have passed. We are still studying, and we are fighting. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава. Thank you so much, Pani Tetyana, for the thorough, detailed, and inspiring presentation. It is a great honor for all of us to be here and to have heard from you about both the challenges and the incredible dedication and resources of Ukrainian librarians as part of Ukraine's broader civil society and what they do. I encourage our our audience members to please post your questions or comments in using the chat, the Q&A, and so we will then use that to share with our honored guest. As you are thinking and formulating your questions, my first question comes from something that I have been hearing and reflecting a lot from fellow Ukrainian colleagues, both in Ukraine and internationally, And there actually has been a very thoughtful New York Times essay about that in the series of publications marking the fourth anniversary of the start of the full-scale invasion. And that is the idea of Ukrainian resilience. One of the major sort of discussion and talking points is that in the face of horrible, massive scale, a relentless Russian assault, Ukrainians have shown remarkable resourcefulness, self-organization, incredible strength of the Ukrainian civil society, and the ability to reconstruct, reorganize, come up with new solutions. And so we have had this discourse develop talking about Ukrainian resilience, but it has its sort of obverse side in that this resilience became sort of, it came to be mythologized and over-relied upon. And a resilience of any human being, of any community, is not limitless. So what are you, perhaps what would be your thoughts, your comments on what do we do? How do we address thoughtfully, constructively, the idea of Ukrainian resilience, and how can the international friends and partners help that resilience continue staying strong, that it does not get depleted?
Good question. Thank you, Vitaly. So we live from day to day, from night to night, from one air raid to another air raid, and maybe just now not thinking very seriously about our resilience. We're still alive, we still live in it. But yes, the Ukrainian society has demonstrated remarkable resilience during the war through unity, courage, adaptability. However, this challenge we live in, but Ukrainians continue to defend. We continue to defend our independence. While maintaining the function of society, from essential service of education, culture, and so on. We have many unbelievable movement for volunteer movement. So everyone just now is volunteer for everyone. Local communities, groups, even in one house, in one building, so without electricity, and one building community is gathering around and think about the electricity generator, or some water, or how to care about the senior citizens in a building, etc., etc. So we just now we showing the strong social solidarity, not only country solidarity, not only our independence, but our social solidarity. So international support is very useful and very, very important for us, because for this resilience. But we feel your support, we feel your stand by with Ukraine, and Ukrainian resilience is not only about the survival, it's about the preserving dignity, hope, vision for peaceful future. So not only for Ukraine, but for the world at whole. So that's why it's a little bit maybe sorry, but it's, yeah. And I have here a session.
Yes, there are questions. So one of the questions from the Q&A chat. Let's first talk about the question about the veterans. So this is a very important question. Is do you know about the projects oral history projects, working with veterans, making sure that their stories are being preserved and their experiences are recorded and for posterity, for future memory.
Yes, yes, of course, we have many projects not only about oral history, but for memory, to collect the memory from the war situation, and we have many international projects with support of Europe, Horizon Europe, or UNESCO, and other international partners. Our culture institution has a in good partnership with, for example, Sofia Kievska has good partners in US, and some library has a good partner in Czech, etc., etc. So it's like this partnership is ongoing and will help also for it. We have many websites about how to memory the some facts about the war and culture heritage, and I can send you maybe later about it. So, and we have very good question from Kate. Thank you, Kate. And we see many ways in which Ukrainian libraries are helping people. Do we have any information about how Russian libraries are supporting the war? Unfortunately, as we can see, Russian libraries mostly as a part of ideological matching. They supporting the war, and they don't reflect the support the Ukrainian libraries. So maybe it's topic for another discussion, how they live in the empire of lie, and how they afraid to be honest and to support somebody. As for me personally, I have many partners all around the world before the war situation, and of course some of them from Russia. And from the first day of the full scale invasion, I had many requests and hello and take care from many friends, and any question and any support from my Russia colleagues. But it's okay. So the history is going, and so it's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, it's very true, and it's very challenging. And I want to remind the audience members who might not know about it is that there actually were libraries serving the Ukrainian community and actually serving the broader community in Russia with information, books about Ukrainian literature and culture and Ukrainian history. And those libraries were deliberately shattered and destroyed. The case of the one in Moscow is especially well known. So this is part of a broader pattern that we have in Russia, that cultures of many of the minorities of both people from the neighboring countries and also indigenous communities, there is an aggressive policy of Russification and ideological control. So the amount of cultural losses that are happening in Russia because of the deliberate government policies are staggering. You also, I would remind the audience members of the notorious interview by Mikhail Piotrovsky, the director of the State Hermitage Museum, who openly said that the exhibitions of Russian art abroad are part and parcel of their so-called special military operation, as they call this war. So Russian state cultural institutions are fully part and parcel and are integrated in the Russian war effort. And I actually a good question that has just come in a Q&A related to this. Russia's information ecosystem is highly influenced by propaganda, which I imagine contributes significantly to the Russian support of the war. Are you aware of any efforts either undertaken by Ukrainian libraries or otherwise to cut through the Russian propaganda to try to change the Russians' perception of the war?
Yeah, really good question. And so try to change Russian perception of the war. It's too difficult because because Kremlin propaganda and the logical machine in Russia works more than 70 years or 90 years, and they provide the very press for freedom of voice, freedom of newspapers, freedom of libraries, etc., etc. So I don't know how we can try to change Russian perception of the war just now, but we do it. We do it. Ukrainian scholars and Ukrainian researchers still active and provide research, and just now Ukrainian scholars more visible in international journals and have many lectures all around the world, and not only academic but cultural lectures and films about the situation in Ukraine, and discussions. I visited that in Princeton University a few years ago, so that's why we are more active. Who knows, Ukraine maybe unfortunately, but who knows, the Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian history, Ukrainian writers, except Shevchenko and Lisa Ukrainka before this situation. Just now, we are more active, we are more visible in the world and in the academic world also. And you know, many universities just now provide not only Russia studies or Russia and Eurasia studies, and Ukraine was a part of Eurasia studies. It's not understanding why, but Ukrainian studies, and Ukraine, not only culture and history and language, but also Ukrainian studies as politics and sociology and psychology, and etc., etc. So that's why we are more visible, but we need to be more active all around the world, because we live in our world, in our country, and we, of course, and I don't know how many times we need to knock to Russia people and to be honestly, maybe for few next generation.
Thank you. I would just add as a remark for everyone in the audience to second what Dr. Yaroshenko has just said, and to encourage your libraries to build their resources on Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian history, Ukrainian contributions to global knowledge, because part of Russia's war against Ukraine is epistemic violence. And that epistemic violence included lengthy entrenched patterns of epistemic injustice towards Ukraine, where Ukrainian points of view were dismissed as marginal, local, specific, too context specific, while the Russian colleagues' contributions were uncritically perceived as neutral and universally applicable. This is something that very much sort of the indigenous communities, communities of color, historically, sort of women's position in scholarship, in sexist society. This is something that we are familiar with, these patterns. And please recognize that a very similar pattern obtained towards the knowledge production and cultural production that was coming from Ukraine. So you should not be asking questions who are the Ukrainian great writers or composers or scholars. They are there, but you do not know them, not because Ukrainians did not do the labor to bring that, but because of the structural injustices that in the epistemic system. So this is one of the things that we all can collectively do together, to address that, to change those things, to proactively seek out Ukrainian knowledge on topics that are not just Ukraine related, but are globally relevant. And we have a new question from Q&A. I wonder if you could comment on the IFLA stance on the war.
Yes, of course. The IFLA, our biggest professional organization, International Federation of Library Association, has stance of the war in Ukraine and clearly condemned the war against Ukraine and expressed deep concern over the destruction of library, culture institution, civilian infrastructure, and IFLA commitment to peace, human rights, and protection of culture heritage under international law, and and called for protection of libraries and librarians, and express solidarity with Ukrainian library worker and institution. Yes, we are working together with IFLA, our Ukrainian Library Association, working together with IFLA, and we provide from time to time some information about the situation in Ukraine, and we provide our statement and our letter, open letter, how to save the culture heritage in Ukraine on one hand, and on the other hand, how to be more active at international level. Yes. Thank you, IFLA, for not only IFLA, but IFLA for this.
Okay, we have a very couple of new questions. One of the questions is about, and I fully agree, the amazing to see the resilience and the flourishing actually of Ukrainian publishing in the war conditions. Even though Russians deliberately bombed book printing facilities, like the most famous case was in Kharkiv, but this is something they directly attack. The question is, how are libraries and publishers cooperating now? Are libraries in contact with the publishers to help them recommend what new books to bring out?
Yeah, for sure. We have a good institution in Ukraine, Ukrainian Institute of Big Books, who support also libraries, who provide not financial support, but also choose as a competition, choose the books from publishing houses to provide to public libraries, especially to the occupied territory or some destroyed libraries. And we have a huge amount of support from Ukrainian Institute of Books, and of course Ukrainian publishing industry just now, it's not in the best condition due to the situation, due the funding, due the situation with financing, due the situation with ordinary family lives, and books are so expensive for everyone. So that's why we should think to develop the library collection, so free for everyone, not necessary to buy the books, but to collect the library. But there are many questions, many challenges for it, because the situation is not so good. Yes, we are in good cooperation with publishing houses who still works, and with not only in the big city like Kiev, but also we also collected books for the village or the occupied territory, and to support librarians and citizens of the small village with the books. We bring the books to the hospital. The many people, many veterans now, we bring the books to the shelters, to the metro. I mentioned about it, so that's why. Yes, thank you. Thankful for our partners. Be thankful for our publishing houses to support us also in this wartime.
Okay, we have a question that we hear often, and this is something that I would like to reformulate slightly, and this is something that we in the world, in the question of the place of Russia's war against Ukraine in the global context of other wars. We know that soon after the start of the full-scale invasion, we also had the start of the war between Israel and Gaza. We know that there is a war going on in Sudan. There are many horrible conflicts with people dying. This is one of the tragic things that we're dealing with, and unfortunately, it looks like we just the internet connection of our guest speaker got lost. So I will see if she is able to rejoin us, but I acknowledge, of course, that the questions of solidarity and recognition that there are multiple conflicts and genocides and violations of human rights happening on the planet is something that we need to be cognizant of and take seriously. Ukrainians are not prioritizing their own suffering at the expense of suffering of others. I can say as a responsible scholar, and I'm sure that Dr. Yaroshenko, if she is able to rejoin us, as you know, Russians are attacking the civilian infrastructure. So as she noted at the beginning of the talk, both electricity and internet connection are unstable. We hope, I mean, I'm sure that she would absolutely agree with me on this point. Yes, there is a solidarity of the oppressed. And in fact, I encourage everyone present here to look up Ukrainian knowledge and history on the solidarity of the oppressed. Ukraine's national poet, Taras Shevchenko, more than a century before Franz Fanon and other theories of decolonization, wrote about the horizontal solidarity of the colonially oppressed. He wrote that in his poetry in the 1840s. So Ukrainians do have a lengthy history of understanding and solidarity of the global systems of colonialist oppression and of the genocides that have been perpetrated in the past and unfortunately are still being perpetrated to this day. Brian, if you're with me, since we lost the connection with Tetyana, how would you like to proceed next? Are we wrapping up?
Thank you, Vitaly. Yes, so we had scheduled an hour, and so we're at time. Unfortunately, Dr. Yaroshenko was not able to make it through. She told me earlier that right now where she's at, there's maybe 5 or 6 hours of electricity per day. So she wasn't sure if it would even last the full hour. I just want to thank you, Vitaly, and Tetyana for this. Thank you to all of our attendees. We are taking your call, Vitaly, to collect Ukrainian materials reflecting Ukrainian perspectives to heart here at KU Libraries. And for those of us, or for those of you on campus or in town, we do have a new exhibition on the 5th floor of Watson Library showing some of our purchases of Ukrainian materials over the last few years. This presentation has been recorded and will be put on the KU Libraries YouTube channel soon, so you'll be able to refer to it there. And again, thank you to everyone, and we hope to see you again at our next events.